Hey, Gabriel Blake.
Hey, Gaybros Jose.
Surprise me. Where are you today?
So, same place, same couch, same city.
Okay.
But I do want to call out some disclaimers. Half my mouth is numb from a minor dental procedure, and I have a chihuahua that sounds like she's dying. So you might not be able to understand me, and you might hear a sad dog in the back.
So what you're telling me is that your side may turn into a David Lynch movie at any second. You start like talking weird, like some weird noises in the background that it may be like a nightmare or not.
I imagine more like David Cronenberg body horror, like my tooth is just gushing blood and there's a dying dog on the ground. I don't know, it could be David Finch. We'll see.
David Finch or David Lynch?
Sorry, David Lynch. There's that painkiller.
Oh, it's starting to take effect. Yeah. A David will happen. But well, that doesn't happen. What did we watch this time?
This was your pick, and you chose the 1994 romantic crime comedy drama written and directed by Kar-Wai, Chungking Express.
Yeah. And I picked it because, several reasons. We was in the mood for love not too long ago, and we were both pretty impressed by it. I hadn't watched anything else by him, and recently they were playing it at the Alamo House here in Chicago that I just opened recently, and it was the only movie that it was sold out that day. Everything else was still available. The only one that it was not was Chungking Express. So we decided, okay, well, we're not going to be like watching it, but they have it in HBO Max, so we can watch it any day. So it was an opportunity for just revisiting Wong Kar-Wai cinematography.
So you had seen nothing by him,
except In the Mood for Love.
Except In the Mood for Love. I was just looking at his list. I have seen My Blueberry Nights, starring Jude Law and the voice of the early 2000s.
Keanu Reeves?
No, what is her name? She's literally just a singer, and she stars in it.
Sorry, which movie?
My Blueberry Nights, 2007.
Oh. So Natalie Portman with Jude Law, Norah Jones.
Those three. Those are the stars.
Holy, I didn't know that he actually did American movies. Hollywood.
Okay, I think I may have seen his segment of Eros. That's another one like Tokyo, 3 shorts, 3 different directors.
Oh, nice.
In the Mood for Love.
Did you watch Happy Together?
Which one?
Happy Together, about a gay couple that they get stranded in Iguazu.
No, but my husband, the Argentine, always tells me about this film and how much he liked it.
They actually were playing it at the Jane Siskel once, and it was the first time a movie sold out in the Jane Siskel. So I had the feeling that this director is pretty well known, pretty well respected from the perspective of what he was, at least like his older staff, like being pretty appreciative.
Yeah, I get the impression he's obviously well respected, and I don't think he cares about notoriety is the word. I was going to say fame, but that's not right. But like, he has no interest in having his name in lights, if that makes sense. He's like, he seems to me a director that's making the exact type of film he wants to make, and he's lucky enough that it has an audience. That's it, I guess what I was trying to say.
So more on auteur.
Yeah.
Like Gaspar Noé.
Let's just pause on that. Sure. Wong Kar-Wai is the same as Gaspar Noé. Is that what you want?
No, I wanted to say that Gaspar Noé is maybe an unapologetically French equivalent of Wong Kar-Wai.
Have you heard about this new technology called like fake smarts? artificial intelligence and all the things it can do.
Yeah, I mean, I heard about it. I heard about the
Okay.
term.
Yeah, it's weird. Like people aren't talking about it at all. I want to find an AI that can listen to all of our podcasts and then build a pivot table into how many times we mention what directors.
I think that should be like relatively easy. I don't think that you need like too much of an AI. It's just voice recognition. It's a Google recorder. It actually does a transcription. You remember? And it actually suggests tags to be associated with the
Then
text.
what, you would just like do a word count? How many times does this weird word appear?
I mean, I don't think if we were talking about like, hey, how many times are they referencing things that they could be connected to a specific director, that would be trickier. That definitely you will need like some kind of AI for just summarizing like how we look at cinema, and it could actually tell us like what is our influence table.
We need an intern. If there are any interns willing to listen to 200 episodes, please apply.
We cannot pay you except in minutes of recordings. Exposure, yeah. Our 6 listeners will know of all your achievements, all your
Thank you,
achievements.
6 listeners.
Yeah. But going back to Chungking Express, what is this movie about?
Okay, so I was telling you before we started recording, I have to cheat and pull up the IMDb page to keep me honest with the names. The script overall is not that complicated, to be honest. Initially, we meet a cop in Taiwan who's just been dumped with his girlfriend. And he doesn't want to break up, but he's convinced, well, in order to be sure she's not coming back to him, he decides to wait 1 month. And during that month, he's going to eat a can of pineapples every day.
Oh, no. No, he's going to buy a can of pineapples every day that all of them expire on May 1st.
On May 1. Yeah. But he eats all of them.
He eats them on May 1st when they're all expired, because he actually is like a metaphorical thing about like our love has expired, but I don't want to throw it away, so I have to swallow it.
Yes, so he does that because he's waiting for her for a month to come back, and May 1 is his birthday. Totally good reasons to do this. I don't, like, whatever.
And the girlfriend's name is May. So, okay.
The gangster, in real life, her name is like Loretta or something.
Whose name?
The blonde drug woman that we're going to talk about soon. That he falls.
Yeah, but that's Brigitte.
Oh, that's May. But look at the actress's name. It's like Loretta Jean or something.
I don't see it, man. I don't see it. Like the woman in blonde wig is Brigitte Ling.
Bridget. Yes, I'm just saying she has like this stereotypically old-fashioned Western-sounding name, which is weird to me.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay, so she does not come back to him, and on May, or he's trying to find one of his last cans of peaches, and he runs into a woman that they're actually 0.1 or 0.01 centimeters together, and there's this very cool, in my opinion, voiceover narration that's telling you throughout the film, oh, I was 0.1 centimeters from her. 6 hours later, I fell in love with her, but 4 hours later, she fell in love with something else. Like a lot of throwbacks to the new wave style, which I really, really liked.
Well, I think that it's not only to that; it's also about film noir, like classic film noir.
Okay. Yeah.
About like just saying that it's like, hey, I want something, but it's like I know already that I'm not going to be getting it. It's almost about saying like how futile their actions are.
That's fair. So we met this policeman. We meet May separately, who is a stone cold
No, it's not
drug.
May.
What?
That's not May.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Outside of this, we meet a woman in a blonde wig. She's involved in drug cartels. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's never explicit. She's just like a scary person, and she's also scared of other people.
Yeah, she basically is just trying to use like some Indian immigrants for doing like some mule work and taking drugs out of Hong Kong.
Yeah, but she also like takes that guy's daughter away when he's not.
Oh, because he wants to know where they went as they took the money and they ran away from the airport. So it's like, oh, you know where they are, but you don't want to tell me. I'm going to kidnap your kid. Now you're going to tell me, or I will kill her.
Yeah,
So
she
she's
was
very
going-
cold-blooded. Yeah. She's like a step above a femme fatale.
So May 1 comes. The original policeman's girlfriend does not come back. He tries to connect with people in different ways, calling acquaintances, friends. He's not able to connect. He ends up at a club called Bottoms Up, where he sits down next to the woman in the blonde wig, this kind of woman in the drug world, and he tries to hit on her / be friends with her. They both end up getting really drunk. In the written synopsis, it just says she gets really tired from her drug efforts. No, she was clearly wasted. He takes her back to the hotel room. She sleeps. He's kind of bored, watches a couple movies, shines her shoes, and then leaves.
Yep. He goes for a run, and then this is like in the night from the 31st to the 1st of May, or the 30th to the 1st of May. And then in the morning, he also receives a message because he has like some kind of voicemail for, just in case if May calls back. And he received a message from his friend in the room 702 saying happy birthday.
And after that jog and after he gets that call, he goes to his usual snack food store where he collides with a new employee named Faye, which is what I was confusing a little bit earlier. And that is the point where he mentions, I'm going to fall in love with this girl in like 6 minutes. Yeah. Or 6 hours.
Does he know? I missed that. I mean, I think that is like that story like finished there because there is like a still frame like for 30 seconds when he says like, and this made me happy like for the rest of my life about receiving the message of happy birthday from that girl. And then we jump again to the midnight snack or whatever is the name of that restaurant, that snack restaurant.
He goes to the snack food place where he bumps into Faye.
But I think that is like, that's the other story. Is that's the part that confused the crap out of me, because for 5 minutes I was saying, it's like, oh, maybe Faye is the woman on the on the blonde wig, and this is the same policeman as the previous one. It's like, no, this is like a second story in this movie that is not connected to the first one, except that it's the same restaurant that both of them frequent, but one of them at night and the other one at daytime.
Well, according to Wikipedia, that's the end of the first story. He finally visits his usual snack food where he meets Faye.
I think that when
the start of the second story is another police officer who's dealing with a breakup with a flight attendant. Also goes to the snack food place where Faye is a new employee who apparently only likes one song by the Mamas and the Papas and plays it really loud and nobody else seems to care everywhere she goes. She ends up falling in love with this guy, and she watches him from behind the counter go through a breakup. At some point, the stewardess comes and leaves a letter for the police officer, but he's not there. In it, she breaks up with him and returns the key to his house.
Yep.
Faye, who is becoming obsessed with him, starts to use the key to enter his house when he's not there, clean things, organize things, and basically get to know him. She talks to his things.
Basically, it has like a indirect relationship with him. It's a very dream-like, like very metaphorical about like changing things from his place, putting other pieces there, changing his sandals. So it's almost like, hey, these are my sandals. It's almost like I'm living here with you. And just as you were saying, like cleaning and making other stuff, but they never really meet there for a while.
Only at the snack food place.
Yep.
Also, I always find this sort of situation fascinating in film because in a gender swap, Faye would be called a sexual predator, rapist, home invader, but it's cute here. So let's see. So she eventually tries to give him the letter. He's like, try and give it to me next time. I'm not interested.
Yeah, basically for him, is like he doesn't want the letter because he will be solidifying the fact that the flight attendant really broke up with him.
Yeah, he's avoiding reality. So secret efforts to clean up his place ends up cheering him up. And he runs into Faye coming to his apartment and realizes, oh, she likes me. There's no way he could have known before that. And then, let's see, they arrange a date to go to a restaurant called
California.
On the West Coast. But she doesn't go to the date. She leaves him a boarding pass that shows that she's traveling to California. Her cousin confirms it. She left to go to California. Oh, no, sorry. The boarding pass is to return in a year. Yeah,
it's a boarding pass. We don't know about it, and he's about to throw it away in a similar way that he did with the flight attendant letter about, like, I don't want to face this. I want to live like this fantasy of I'm still with this person. But after like throwing it on it's a bit ridiculous, but he throws like out under the rain, and then he regrets it, comes back, opens the bouquet, he tries it in one of these like rolling sausage thing from a 7-Eleven, but he cannot see the destination, only like when it's going to be happening. That is a year from now.
Yes. So she returns a year later. It turns out policeman number 2, who is the guy from In the Mood to Love, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. He has purchased the snack bar, is converting it into a restaurant. He asks Faye, please stay for the opening. If you can't, at least send me a postcard. And then as she's about to leave, he gives her the original boarding pass that he kept. And we find out that Wong Kar-Wai is actually a 13-year-old girl. Because he wrote this. That's only romantic to a 13-year-old girl. Come on.
Wait a second. So I think that I didn't get the part. Is that basically the boarding pass? He actually just says, "Hey, can you make me a new one?"
He kept it because he knew she was coming back on that, and he showed her. I kept this, baby. Here.
I mean, I had to say, I like the kind of trying to play it cool, but at the same time, it's like, hey, you kept a paper that is like pretty clear, useless as some kind of romantic gesture from a person that basically cost you for a year, with the hopes that that person is going to be like coming back, and you even bought the restaurant where she used to work. There is take it a stretch.
We get it.
Well, but if I think about the In the Mood for Love for this, is that he really likes these ideas, these romanticized ideas that they're like concepts, as you say, maybe they're like 13-year-old, but it's this kind of romantic, absurd gestures or situations that I think that he knows how to play, how to display on the screen.
Do you want to finish the synopsis?
Yes, please. Yeah.
There's a tiny end. Basically, she's about to leave, and she offers to write him another boarding pass, and she says, "Where do you want to go?" And he says, "Anywhere you'll take me. Wherever you will take me." The end. Yeah. Okay, so what you were saying, like he's good at romance. Like he has this ability. I observed this particularly during story 1, where we followed I would call him, he's not pathetic, but his earnestness is embarrassing to me for Cop 1, where he's desperately trying to connect, which is absurd. He basically calls every girl he knows, including somebody he sat next to in 4th grade who doesn't remember him, which is the absurd comedy part. But there's a realism in this filming that's like astonishing. Like I've never felt like I was in Korea that much when we were following him around at a gas station, making phone calls. The way the camera works is just incredible. Sorry, not Korea. I said
Hong
Korea.
Kong.
I meant China. Yes. I mean, it's China in like a year, but whatever.
It was in 95, the transition?
No. After Ukraine, China's just going to take back Taiwan, so it's...
Dude, I mean, Hong Kong was like a British colony?
Yeah, but
and
they
they were... Yeah, they gave it back to China in 2000 or something?
Yeah, something.
And it has been like in transition for the last 20 years or so. But you said that you never felt that you really were there? Oh, sorry, could you explain it again?
I'm saying the intimacy of his camera work is so amazing that I just felt like I was with that cop number 1 all the time. Like I was just mind blown. And he likes to do, and we talked about this in the Mood for Love, the frames within a frame within a frame. So we often feel like we're kind of just a voyeur, but like a very intimate voyeur. It's interesting.
There is a scene that I really like when policeman Chu and Faye, they are walking back from the market, and the policeman Chu is carrying the basket on top, and we only see like the back of their necks. And it almost feels like, hey, we are walking behind them, and we're seeing this very intimate moment in a natural way that I really like.
That's the word. It feels so natural and real.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like he uses like some resources at this kind of take that he does that is like frantic and at the same time like still frames, that is like a bit more of a, instead of 24 frames, he maybe does like 3 frames, stops, and then 3 frames on the next second for just like giving a sense of frenetism, or there's something going on. He uses 2 in the Mood for Love, but not too much.
He uses it dramatically in My Blueberry Nights. It's clearly his thing.
Yeah, he's a staple about like, this is a movie, this is my movie. What do you think of having 2 stories not really connected with each other? Thematically can be connected, but I mean like just narratively.
It didn't stick out to me as a problem, and when I think about it after you ask the question, I'm a fan of that sort of storytelling. Like if you look at shortcuts on a much, much larger scale, where you experience this universe of 10 different storylines that have the thinnest thread of a connection. But I liked that, and I liked that here. The universe, quote unquote, was the snack shack. But still, we got to see the different people and how they overlapped. I liked it.
For me, when they are only like thematically connected, because at least part of what was like the name of the director of Shortcuts? Robert Altman?
Yeah. For Shortcuts. It was Paul
Shortcuts.
Thomas Anderson for Magnolia.
Great. Thanks for the clarification. Yeah. But it's like all of this, or Alejandro González Iñárritu for Amores Perros, or Babel, or whoever the fuck directed Crash, not the Cronenberg one, the shitty one. Is that this?
Anyway, keep going.
Whoever. But the thing is like these stories, at least they are connected beyond like the thematically part. It's like Shortcuts. I think that is like one of the interesting parts is about like just doing this mental graph about like how each one of these like narratives like connect with each other. I felt like that was like a game for the audience about like, these are shortcuts and people taking shortcuts, but also like these stories are somewhat connected with each other in a weird way, but they're connected. These 2 is that they share like the restaurant, but it doesn't matter at all.
Don't they both share Faye?
I honestly don't remember.
Just as much as he physically ran into her at the end of story 1, according to Wikipedia.
Well, what I was thinking is that if this has been Faye is the woman in the wig, that is like, hey, these 2 policemen is like one of them only assists at night and the only ones only assist at day, and they are like basically, even if they are different people, is that they share a trait with each other. If Faye could have been like the same woman, you could have said that is like, hey, this is the kind of woman that sees at night, because we only see her at night on the first part of the story. This is the kind of person that sees at day, because we only see her at daytime. I think that we don't see her at night when they are supposed to have a date at the California, and we see her at night on the last scene when she goes a year later back.
But isn't it night when Cop 2 usually comes?
No, it's during daytime for lunch, I think, no? Yeah, because he starts going somewhere else for lunch.
Only after he switches beats. But before he switches beats, he's coming at night. He comes and gets his drink late at night.
Oh, because he actually orders like the coffee after he breaks up with her, and he's ordering like dinner for her. No, you're right. So it's like it's nighttime at the beginning. You're absolutely right. But they're not the same person. They never cross paths like the 2 policemen or anything. So for me, it was a bit more of, hey, I understand that this is a bit more of a story of people wanting to desperately connect and find love with other. Maybe it's destiny, or maybe it's like the kind of people that they are, that they just want to chase that but they never really like settled down for forming that relationship as a long-lasting thing. But beyond that, they don't really. I could remove like the first story from the second, and I think that I would have not too much of a difference. I mean, I wouldn't have like this, like the same amount.
The second story is a compelling story to me. It's extremely simple, even simpler than In the Mood for Love, in my opinion. But I found, in terms of the filming and the experience of story one, even with the absurdity, but the realism, I was like, this is way cooler than I expected.
I wish that part was like the whole movie, that they extended it to 90 minutes, because that film noir aspect, like the absurd comedy, when he starts like just eating all of the pineapple and then just throws up immediately.
Or when two of them constantly talk to household objects like a dish towel.
I don't remember that part.
She like talks to all the things in his home, but then
the second part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm jumping around.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, that part is bizarre. Did you think about Amélie on the second part?
Not once, but tell me why you did.
So, if I recall correctly from Amélie, and I'm going to be like writing it down, Amélie, right now for something that we discussed before this podcast, of one of my 5 movies, if you remember. So in Amélie, one part that she actually does is like just going into one of the neighbors' house and start changing things for making him think that he's going crazy. And he plays also with other people like the other way around. Hey, I'm going to go into your house for just creating this magical moment for you. It's like, that's what she does here.
I feel like this was an archetype of the 90s and 2000s, the girl that's too cute for this world.
That's fair. Yeah.
She's kind of in her own world. Yeah, I can see that now. I forgot that part of Amelie, but yeah, I can see for sure the parallelism.
Yeah, between like both of them. Yeah, I'm not saying that one thing is better than the other, but it's like then I was just checking. Amelie is from 99, 2001, and I was thinking, is like, was there some inspiration here? Because it's Chungking Express from this director that it was like so popular like back then. Is the camp pretty sure that what is the name of the director, Jean-Pierre Jeunet, watched this, because this is like very similar. I just felt like that kind of magic realism, sweetness and romantic approach. It was like, yeah, this is what Amélie is about.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about this, a lot of it makes sense. It's not that policeman number 2 is a curmudgeon, but essentially, I mean, he kind of has some of the characteristics, just like the guy in Amelie. Yeah, if I presented Chungking Express and said, make a French version of this, I could see it being Amelie.
Yep. Oh, wow. I'm just checking, was Amélie inspired by Chungking Express? Amélie is a rare movie with inventive filmmaking and real emotion. The story may seem borrowed. It has several elements for Kar-Wai Wong's Hong Kong romance Chungking Express, released in the United States in 1994 with the help of Quentin Tarantino.
We have him to thank for so many of today's auteurs.
I'm mind blown that a movie like Chungking Express is actually connected to this. Yeah, we have to thank him also for The Fall.
But didn't Quentin Tarantino also present Hero?
Did he?
I'm pretty sure he did. Or maybe it was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. He presented one of those films.
No, it was Hero. Quentin Tarantino eventually convinced Miramax to open the film in American theaters. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
He loves Asian cinema. If I had that power, I would be like, guys, Denmark just released a new film. Watch this film from Denmark, guys.
I mean, also Quentin Tarantino like borrows quite a bit.
He pays homage. That's very different than. By the way, in my brutal dental procedure today, my very, very attractive surgeon, while he was inside me doing the surgery, his cell phone went off, and I'm not kidding. I'm in like laying in a bed, and it was. What L Driver whistles as she's on her way to. Let me see. If I can.
Twisted something is called that song.
I don't know, but I was like, oh, he's gonna kill me. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's gorgeous.
Okay. You will be okay. You'll be okay going with that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. But yeah, overall, I like it. It's only 100 minutes. I think it was strange, like having two so different stories. A part of me wanted more of both of them to some kind of extent. It's like I wanted more of this film noir story. I wanted to have like a resolution of it, because honestly, that's way shorter. No, it's like 30 minutes probably, that one, and the other one is 1 hour. On those 30 minutes, I was invested into, I want to know more. What was the name of the Western guy, Patrick, that he takes May?
We didn't even talk about the random white guy that showed up.
One thing that I love, and I think that it's a bit more about Hong Kong, and probably the how Kar-Wai Wong like looks at the reality there, but it's super Western influence. So we see Pringles, we see Heineken, we see, I think that Stella at some point, we see Sol, the beer. We hear a lot of popular Western music, and the only song that I think that I recognize, how do you say, in Cantonese, it was a version of the Cranberries.
Oh yeah, I was listening to the film a little bit volume low, and I was like, that is not the Cranberries. Yeah,
I don't remember. That doesn't sound like Gaelic. It's not English. I don't think that is Gaelic.
Another great film that uses that exact same song is Clueless.
But that's in English.
Sure, whatever.
Yeah. It's not a saving grace.
I like this film a lot. The two-story, well, thinking about it differently, I guess the two-story structure did annoy me a little bit, in that I felt like story one wasn't as strong as story two, even though when it had some really beautiful, cool things about it. This felt like a man figuring out how to become the guy who makes In the Mood for Love. You see a lot of the promising storytelling elements, the beauty of the cinematography, the characters which are so fully developed without bothering to explain much. Like, you can just tell, I don't know how to describe it, but these are characters that are not flat. They're interesting, and they don't have so much exposition you want to murder them.
Yeah. I find it hilarious. It almost feels like an exercise. It almost feels like, hey, can I do like two characters that supposedly would be almost the same? That is, hey, there are two characters desperate for finding love, and there are two policemen in Hong Kong, and they go to the same place, but just making them feel so different from each other.
At first, I thought this must be a Virgin and the Whore comparison, comparing May and Faye, or maybe we're supposed to compare the two cops. I don't think there's any of that intentionally. When I read the New York Times review, that's a newspaper.
Oh, is it? I never heard of it.
They publish in New York.
Oh, and you get it in San Francisco too? That's amazing.
Yeah, they bring it to my door. The title is Making Fun of MTV Culture While Also paying homage to it, or something like that. But that didn't even cross my mind, and I tried to think, is there a commentary on MTV entertainment? I think no.
I don't see that.
At least stripped away from the context of 1994 and whatever was happening. Maybe the critic was a fan of TRL. You may not know TRL.
I have no idea what it is. Yeah.
But no, I don't think there's really much deeper here than some of the themes he likes to explore, which is love, missed opportunities with love,
Yeah. But the interesting thing is like it's abstract. I mean, you can take it for face value. There is nothing wrong, but it's like you were saying earlier. It's like he doesn't have the need. The characters feels like fully developed, but it's not like a classic story about like you have Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and it's about like just fighting a challenge or anything. It's just about emotions, it's about feelings. And I'm going to be like giving you like the elements that you need for actually resonating with this story. But I'm not going to be like caring about making this like a full universe towards, like even the crime. I feel like a bit weird about like with the crime part on the first one. I liked it, but I just felt like compared with In the Mood for Love, this feels a bit, I don't know, like drastic. That a part of me wanted is like, hey, I want more. I want for you to finish to develop this. I want to know what is the relationship of the woman with the wig and Patrick, because clearly I like that part of Patrick sending him food that it would aspire, and by that day, he's going to kill her. With the parallels of the other guy that is like, this is where my love dies that day.
So I can't remember who wrote this, but I read a critical analysis of In the Mood for Love, where essentially what was said, this is probably the New York Times review, I don't know why I pretend it's anything else, but what was said essentially was that In the Mood for Love is less a straightforward narrative than it is an actual mood. It wants you to experience a mood more than anything else. And I think what I saw in this film was there was this struggle about wanting you to experience a mood, which I would call story one. I felt the mood of policeman number one. Like I felt it. I was in his world. But then moving on to a more structured narrative in the next one where I felt like it's neither one nor the other. But he's going to get there just 6 years later. 6 years later is In the Mood for Love. He knows where he wants to be.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that even if I compare, for example, like in the first story, if I compare like the part of the story of the policeman that is desperately looking for love, and that woman is they almost feel like from two completely different worlds.
Yeah.
And I like the woman story too. Sorry, go ahead.
You liked May's storyline?
But it's not May. I mean like the drug, narco traffic, like the woman with the wig.
Yeah, why do I keep calling her May? What is her actual name?
I don't think that they say it. They just keep it like that woman.
The drug lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the least interesting storyline for me.
For me, it was interesting from the perspective that this is straight from a film noir. I like it, but it's like I don't. Yeah, but that's something that I like. But if I compare it with everything else that happens, I don't know. It's a bit out of place, and it makes the first story, albeit I love it. I was like super engaged, like super. Oh my god, what is going to happen? I just felt like with the second one, I was like, okay, I see what is the overarching theme, Kim, but this is a weird combination of two stories.
I will say that in the last 2 weeks, I've gone to like 6 vet appointments, a ton of doctor's appointments, dentist appointments. Like this has been very crazy. And so I consciously decided to watch 1 hour of the film one night and 45 the next day. And I was so compelled by the first hour, even though I think it has a lot of problems, I was so compelled I just finished the whole thing. And I was like, I'm glad I watched all of it.
Yeah. But I was like at the edge of my seat on the first one, is like when the Indian people like disappear from the airport, or when she started like just chasing them down, kidnap the girl in a very like nonchalant way about like, oh, you don't want to help me? Well, I'm taking this kid with me. That they were like just like laughing out loud about like this is absurd, but it actually just fits into this kind of femme fatale. I don't know, it almost feels like a parody. It almost feels like by the manual about like, hey, this is everything, a checklist of what a femme fatale in a film noir should have, like a trench coat, a wig, and I'm going to be using her for. Wouldn't it be ironic if actually a policeman thinks that this can be the love of her life or so of his life, just from the random fact that he's sitting in front of him?
Yeah.
So,
I really killed the guy who set her up.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is as good as Goodfellas.
This is that I think that is like the part that Tarantino was like, like just like simmering, like just delightful.
Americans have to see this.
Yeah. But it was like the kind of bloodiest scene that is like, I mean, this is the director of In the Mood for Love.
I
And
didn't
the
see it
second-
coming at all. I was like, oh.
I mean, that's the reason why I love it so much. About like, holy shit, this is out of the blue. It's like I didn't expect it to go like so far. I mean, I also was a bit surprised of the woman like just getting like a lot of drug into a condom and asking the Indian folks like just get it out their ass.
I do have to say though, when we see the drug dealing factory, for lack of a better word, I was a little bit bummed out. I was like, holy God, if this is a straightforward like cop falls in love with a drug dealer, this is going to be boring. I was very pleasantly surprised that they're like, this is just a thing that happened in a moment. Let's continue the story.
No, I agree with that. It's like he plays a bit with the expectations that you start building at the beginning about like, oh, you think that it's going to be this? You think that it's going to be a noir? You think it's like, no, it doesn't really matter. Those are like just circumstances. What is it about? It's about the desire of desperately connect in a maybe pathetic way, or maybe in a bit more of a, I don't really want to do it, but I would do it because this guy is pretty insisting.
I'm interested in what you just said about being in love being slightly pathetic. I do feel like he kind of wanted to show each of them a little pathetic, except for Faye.
Well, she's
Faye
also
was
a bit pathetic.
Child who couldn't
Yeah.
think and ran away. It's not that she couldn't think. Sorry, I'm not being misogynist. I want to be clear. She says in the film she doesn't want to think. I don't hate women mostly.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I think that he wants to do like all of the spectrum of just being in love. About like you can be a bit pathetic, you can be like a bit dreamy, you can be strong and motivated by it. But they never really achieve it.
They don't, and now because of you, I'm comparing Amelie, where I didn't care that Amelie was in her own world and kind of naive and flighty and not really a real human in this earth almost.
Well, she's a French woman.
I'm
Just saying.
So is Isabelle Huppert.
That's an amazing counter. Thank you so much.
Yeah. When you compare those two films, not Isabelle Huppert, Amelie, it does seem like he was attempting something that he didn't quite achieve.
I think that they tried to do something else. Amélie is still a very standard story. You may like it more or less, but it's pretty straightforward about girl meets boy, they fall in love.
Okay. Except for the 2 hours leading up to they fall in love.
Well, it's a bit more about like girl gets infatuated with boy for weird reasons, and she's pretty dreamy and pretty magical, and then they fall in love.
So it's been a long time. She discovers the hidden panel in her bathroom, needs to track the guy down, finds the phone booths. Is that how it happens? How does the he finds in the bathroom play into it?
I don't think that she finds anything on the bathroom. I think that she finds like some box like hidden in behind like something in the wall, a tile in the wall. Yeah. And then he actually finds the kid that owns this, but she doesn't want to be seen. She wants to be like some kind of I bring happiness to the world, justiciar or vigilante.
That's what it was. Okay, yeah, now I remember.
Yeah. And then she finds like these pictures that they were torn, and this kid actually collects them, and he actually misses, like he loses the book where he's collecting this scratch because he wants to know like what is going on, blah 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 blah. I'm surprised that I remember so much of this movie. I
am too. That brings us to what we're watching next week. We're watching Amelie. Just
you already watched it in 1 hour of this movie. Overall, I like it quite a bit. I agree with you. Yeah. I feel like it's a bit more of a prototype. Not really a prototype because it's not exactly the same tone or the same story or anything about In the Mood for Love. But it's like, as you said earlier, is that you can see like the sketches. You can see like the strokes, the style of those strokes about like that they are going to materialize in the Mood for Love.
Which to me can be as fun as a masterpiece. Like in the Mood for Love, it's like, this is a dumb example, but that Oxycontin is just...
The what?
The Oxycontin is hitting, so I don't care that this is barely connected to what we're talking about. But it's like, you see the Leonardo da Vinci, what did they call that man that's like this?
Oh, yeah, like with the perfect proportion thing,
Yeah, like, amazing piece of art, but seeing the doodles as he was preparing to that, like, seeing that journey is really fun. I like to see the journey of an artist, so I appreciate this film very much.
And it has what?
And it still has problems.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're not saying that it's perfect. I think that in the Mood for Love is closer to perfection, but this doesn't make it, because it's not in the Mood for Love. That's not a reason for just saying that this is less. It's like, it's still a really good movie, like super enjoyable, super. I check the watch only when they change the stories about like, wait a second, that is a different story. How much do we have left? Is it going to be like 5 stories here? Is it going to be 2?
It's difficult not to compare it to In the Mood for Love, especially because we watched it recently. But yeah, it's not fair. This is a good movie all alone.
Yep.
Should we go back? Do you know if he's gay, by the way?
I don't know. Why do you ask? What makes you think?
He picks a very particular male lead that to me looks similar. So I just wondered if he had a type.
No, he's actually married and has 1 child.
To a woman.
Her name is Esther. It's the only thing that it says on IMDb.
Okay, well, if he's not gay, I don't care to talk about him, so let's move on to the question.
Fair enough. This podcast is called Gaybros. It's not a Stray Bros. Would you watch it again?
Yeah, I would. And soonish. I mean, if my husband wanted to watch it, I'd probably watch it this week.
Yeah, I would definitely watch it again. I think that there are many details that I would like to just rethink about them. Like just, hey, how does this fit into the overarching narrative, or what specific stupid stuff? I love, sorry, this is like pretty random, but I love how absurd the second story gets when she starts replacing things in her house, in his house, and he changed like the giant stuffed dog for a Garfield. And the other guy starts like just talking with the Garfield. Like, it's like, oh, you're becoming a bit dirty. You know, you were not like this before. Maybe, are you fighting someone? And he rolls with it. It's like, it's so ridiculous, but at the same time so enjoyable. That is like, I would like to see like that stupid stuff again.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. Would you recommend it?
Yes, but only in specific situations like, hey, I saw In the Mood for Love. Are there any rough drafts of that film out there? No, I would recommend this. It's not perfect, but it's still interesting. And you know, as my best friend, that I have a hard time connecting to Asian cinema sometimes, and this is a film I connected to, so yeah, I would tell people to check this out.
Oh my god, I'm tempted to change like what we're going to watch next, but yeah. Well, is your pick in any case? Is your pick? sorry, you're right. But yeah, I think that I could recommend it in many circumstances. I think that if someone tells me, hey, recommend me a romantic movie, you know, it's like, this is a good one. It's like, okay, there is some violence, but I think that I would ever recommend it to my parents. It's like super easy to digest. It's like, it's only weird when they change. Like, it took me like an scene to say, hey, is that the same policeman? Why is his demeanor like changed completely? And now he wears a different shift, and now this is a different. What is going on? But beyond that, it's not confusing or anything. It's only because we are racist and maybe we didn't differentiate that it was a different actor like right away. But yeah, I think that is an easy movie to recommend. The other circumstance that I would recommend is like if someone tells me, oh, I really like Amelie, and it's like, you should watch Chungking Express, dude.
If someone said, hey, I really like Quentin Tarantino, is there anything else I should watch? I'll be like, Hero.
And then Chungking Express.
Yeah.
I would like to see like a full list of the random movies that he actually supported. You know, like from Hero, Chungking Express, The Fall.
Do you remember who, quote unquote, presented The Fall?
It was him and oh my god, who was the other one? It was Spike Lee.
Not Spike Lee.
Who?
It was Spike Jonze and David Fincher.
Oh, Spike Lee. Okay, yeah. Sorry. I confused Spike Lee with Spike Lee.
When you
I
said
do it all the
Spike Lee,
time.
I heard Spike Jonze anyway. I was like, yeah.
No, but yeah, I knew that it was Spike Jonze. But that one actually made sense for The Fall.
Oh no, I really approve of directors putting their names on
For other.
bucket scene. Keep doing it, people, until you start like presenting the Taiwanese version of Paul Blart Mall Cop. Don't send that shit over here.
Adam Sandler present Paul Mall in Hong Kong.
This hilarious slapstick comedy from Wuhan, China.
Exactly. Does this happen nowadays? I had the feeling that got lost.
I haven't seen it for a while, but
it's not because like the directors are not popular anymore. I had the feeling that is like everything is so accessible right now. Is like so low cost. Is that you can actually just like go to Sundance and Apple TV buy your movie for $200 million, and then you win an Oscar.
yeah, I mean, if you think about if The Fall came out right now, Netflix would have just bought it, or Amazon Prime would have just bought it. Nobody had to present it.
Yeah, it's a bit sad, no?
I'm super bummed about the state of cinema. Seriously, it's depressing as hell. I hope it doesn't die. This is why I just joined the Berkeley Film Center, because it's not expensive or fancy. I'm just saying, like, I'm panicking because I'm worried movies are dying in terms of movie theaters.
Art. Yeah.
And entertainment or art, not by democracy. I just don't want Netflix algorithm telling me what to watch.
But the things, I don't care if Netflix algorithm tells me what to watch, as long as they are like platforms that they are curated in a way that it actually supports cinema as an art.
Yes, but because Netflix is getting so good at making broadly appealing content, money now is getting funneled into that instead of independent cinema or big picture cinema or...
Dude, like the movies, I agree with you. You know, is that can be a concern, but at the same time, I had the feeling that is that if you were an auteur, like a real auteur, you know, and you like to do cinema, and your cinema doesn't has like a niche because its quality is that now you have like way more distribution channels. It's like now all of the different platforms is that Netflix is not starting to do it, but it's like Apple TV, for example, and other ones is that what they're doing is that, hey, let's stop investing on what the algorithms say, and let's actually try to go to Sundance and other festivals to just catch movies like pretty early for a distribution deal.
That's true. And I mean, Netflix still did Roma, they still did Bardo. It's not like they're not
garbage. Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
I mean, it's true that it's like for TV shows, true, I don't trust them. I don't trust them at all, because everything is like it's a bit more about like, hey, the algorithm just spew these 3 tags. We need a director to just slap on top of these. But honestly, I'm concerned about cinemas as a whole. You know, cinemas as a place to go to is that they may actually die. But it's just, I think that is a bit more organic. I would be heartbroken, but I don't think that actually translates into cinema dies.
I sure hope not, but people are not watching movies like they did before the pandemic, so...
But it's not, okay, it's not that there are no new movies coming out. It's that we were even saying that last year wasn't a bad year for movies.
Yes, but I mean, if we look at what's happening to the Met is having to withdraw from their endowment for the first time in like 30 years. They're taking $30 million off of a fund they were supposed to only live off the interest, because people are still not going to the Met to see operas. And now they're completely changing their lineup of operas to try and get younger people in, which is going to be like Dora the Explorer opera. So it's just speeding up the dumbing down of a very highbrow channel. That's what I think is happening with cinema.
Well, but just wait a second. It's like let's just take a step back. It's like we're talking, and you were telling me about this when I was telling you earlier about opera and about like, hey, I still have a hard time resonating with this. And you were telling me, it's like, you should check operas that they are from this century, or at least the last 100 years, instead of really old operas that they're really hard to resonate with the topics that they are like trying to describe. Is that I think that it's a bit more of sensibilities are changing. We see it on the lyric. The lyric, according to my boyfriend, he tells me the lyric is super classic compared with San Francisco or even the Mets. And it's like they are starting to do productions that they are a tiny bit more modern as hell. They even have like every season, they have a couple of musicals. They have West Side Story, they have the Fiddler on the Roof. That is hey, this is no longer highbrow. It's a bit more lowbrow, but it's
classic. The second that the SF Opera does Oklahoma might be the day I stop subscribing.
But to be fair, I think that is a bit of modernizing into what exactly is the current sensibility. I don't think that is necessarily wrong. Is that we don't have to keep watching the same stuff over and over. Right now we have the problem that, hey, most of the cinema that mainstream consumes is superhero or stupid stuff.
I'm also hopeful. I'm just worried that because of the pandemic combined with the streaming platforms taking over basically as mainstream entertainment, I don't know. I feel like now when I check the 5 closest movie theaters to me, there's less and less that I want to see.
Well, I mean, I have the advantage that I'm like at the same distance of the Alamo Drafthouse and the Music Box Theater, and I have like the Gen Cisco like around the corner too. You know, is I could go to watch like to either of them irreversible during these weeks.
Sidebar, I just went to the opera and saw a movie in that the opera movie theater. Do you remember that tiny room you and I went and saw a movie theater? A movie in once? It had
like the French one?
Yes. Yeah. I sat in that for the first time since you and I were there, like, I don't know, 8 years ago together.
And probably was only you and 3 senior citizens.
There were 5 senior citizens, but yes.
Okay, they're increasing in popularity. Yeah.
Let's just say all of us were members of AARP in that room, including me. AARP. It's an organization for older people. They get discounts on everything.
That's right.
If you're married to an old person, which is why I'm a member.
Damn.
20 years early.
Yeah.
I get discounts on my rental car.
Yep. Is that you may actually just have like a future of just like having to provide like medical care for your husband, but here you go, like a 10% of discount on oil, on gas.
And like 20% discount off Applebee's as long as I eat dinner before 3:30 p.m.
That's fine. That's a very reasonable time for a senior citizen or a person married with a senior citizen. I had to say that I love this is like completely off topic, but I love that piano bar that is at the entrance of the Opera Mall.
Oh, Max's Opera Cafe? Fuck yeah. That's one of my favorite places in San Francisco.
Because I love it is that it tries to be fancy. I mean, there is a piano player. It's like most of the nights is that they are playing there, but also is that you get your food on a tray, if I recall correctly. But it feels like a cafeteria. It feels like a cafeteria at the same time. It's a bit more of I'm always confused about like, what am I doing here? what kind of experience I'm stepping into?
I also love that it's completely empty except 1 hour before the opera when it's filled to the brim with 78-year-olds just everywhere you look.
Yeah. It's incredible, but that actually tells you what kind of people goes to the opera, and that's like a bit more is that it's not resonating with new sensibilities. And yeah, it sucks, but it's that everything has its time. It's that we left behind like many things, you know, in the arts. So why do we actually hold to the old format of song stuff so hard? And we say like, oh my God, it's dying. It's like, no, it needs to evolve. And if you actually try to hold to the past, you're going to kill this art as a whole.
We're completely running off the rails.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things you said to me in the last 6 months is I was complaining about the fact I did not have to wear a mask at the symphony, but I do at the opera. And you said, well, the age band that attends the opera might be higher risk. And I was like, oh yeah, kill everybody.
Exactly. But no, you're right. We're derailing quite a bit. Going back to Chungking Express, that I even had to check. Like, wait, wait a second. What movie were we talking about? Actually, they made Amelie. Yeah, Amelie, pre-Amelie, Amelie Zero. Would you remember Chungking Express?
I'm gonna have to say no, and that makes me sad, but like I already don't remember the details of Mood for Love besides how I felt. So I will remember the experience of the film, but if you ask me to do plot details, no. My answer is no.
I know that this is going to sound as I'm trolling, but it's like I think that I'm going to remember it thanks to how much I remember Amelie.
I wouldn't doubt that in the slightest. I don't know why you remember that film so well.
I don't know. Well, there is. It's like it was the favorite movie of one of my exes, so we watched it a couple of times. Yeah. Is there anything artistic about Chungking Express?
Yeah, first off, so I think this was my third Wong Kar-Wai film, but just to see his visual style, which at first when I saw My Blueberry Nights, I didn't like at all. But now I'm older, wiser,
yeah.
I have better taste. I really think that what he has to say visually is gorgeous and usually compelling. And I hate when critics throw around terms like this, but like he has a unique vision. Like nobody says things visually like he says them. So yes, very, very, very artistic.
I agree with you 100%. There were like several points that I had to just like stop the movie and say like, holy shit, the framing of that scene, or wow, that angle, and it's not that it's like completely crazy or anything, but it's what you were saying. Even he tries to display a bit how frantic Hong Kong is, and he doesn't jump into any kind of the main streets or anything. We see some markets with on the first one, well, on both of the stories during daytime and nighttime, but it feels intimate at the same time, and that happens because he knows how to play with it, and it doesn't play, as we say, it's like it's natural. It doesn't feel like some kind of force, like, oh my god, I'm going to do like the frames like so small that you're going to feel like claustrophobic. It's like, no, it feels just like being there. He knows how to play.
The intimacy is real. I felt like I was policeman number one's friend, and I was just following him around while he was embarrassing himself.
Or the bartender. Yeah.
It was super cool.
Yeah, or the bartender in Bottoms Up, like just seeing how this guy is like going to throw up, coming back, keep calling like random girls from
Another
his past.
Double, please.
Yeah. So that's unique. And it's like there are not so many directors. We give a lot of shit to Gaspar Noé. I think that he's unique in many things. I think that Lars von Trier is unique in many things. Not all good. Haneke is like pretty unique in many things. I think that this is a pretty, well, Wes Anderson is unique for better or worse, I think that this is a unique director.
I agree. And weirdly, because I have issues connecting with Asian cinema, I feel compelled to watch more by this director in the same way that I was like, let's watch more of Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring again. Like, I'm excited to see more of his work, but that doesn't happen that often.
We need to actually let it like rest a bit, but it's like, yeah, I still want to make you watch Iron 3. I think that you would really like it, but there is something compared with Chungking Express. But going back to Chungking Express, do you think that this is a timeless piece?
Yeah. It's the themes are timeless. The emotions are timeless. And besides not having cell phones, which would have solved one of the plot points, it's...
Yeah, I mean, the cell phones part, I was thinking about it. Usually, like the first thing that it pops in my mind about like good cell phones have reduced this into a 10-minute short. Yeah, but I don't think that it matters much.
The one thing I'm thinking of is when the stewardess comes and drops a letter off, which is the only reason that Faye is involved later in the movie. Well, not the only reason, but it's the reason she gets into his apartment, where it's like, she could have just texted it or thrown away the key or...
throw away the key, probably, It's like, I think that the stewardess didn't... See, to be honest, she's a bit of a bitch, because when she actually the policeman runs into her, is that she's a bit of I'm going to get away with whatever I want.
Asshole. Everyone has an asshole, not just women.
Bear. Wow. Okay. So I think that is timeless. I think that is what it talks about is the desire to connect, sometimes at a desperate level, and not knowing exactly how to make it last. Yeah. So, and that's completely timeless. Would you turn this into a TV show?
Honest to God, yes. I think this may have worked better as a TV show. If they were like, we have 2 stories we want to tell, there could have been 3 or 4, and let's make this a 4 to 6 part miniseries. 100%.
Yeah, you do like an anthology kind of thing. I mean, we've seen like way worse anthologies out there of every episode.
And we could add a sci-fi aspect and just make it Black Mirror Asia.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if taking it that far, but I was going to say is that, hey, the first episode is directed by Quentin Tarantino, and the second one is Kar-Wai Wong. And the third one is
Leos Carax.
My God. I mean, I was going to say like Gondry or crap. I don't think that the name of the Korean director that we watched like many of his movies. The Parasite director.
The which side director?
Parasite. Bong Joon-ho. Yeah. So I honestly think that this, just as they gave us like 2 examples, I think that you could have done 10 more.
Yeah, I agree. And then you could have, experimented with your time more safely, because let's say this 30 minutes don't work. Well, fine, you have 5 more hours.
Okay, you even like could follow like one of the stories a bit longer if you wanted. I would prefer like every story like being a standalone completely, and just being like the same idea of people desperate to connect.
But in the same universe?
In the same universe. No, in the same universe. It's like let's just use, for example, like the restaurant. The only character that repeats is like the owner of the restaurant. I like that character.
So like the Romanovs.
Yeah. For
unique
example.
Stories and sometimes a tiny overlap.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing with the Romanovs is that they didn't connect thematically that well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I think I don't know if that was like the joke or not. It almost felt like. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah.
Because one of them is like, oh yeah, my last name is Romanov. Oh, the family is like, yeah, but it's like just like 10 generations ago, so I don't know anything of that. And then they just move on,
Isabelle Huppert was in that too.
Oh, was
Bryce
he?
Dallas Howard.
Oh, it was on the first episode with the egg.
It was the 3rd episode. I think it was the 3rd episode where Bryce Dallas Howard is supposed to be filming a Hollywood movie. Isabelle Huppert is the director, and they scare her real bad. Not Isabelle scares Bryce Dallas Howard real bad.
Of course. I mean, that's what Isabelle Huppert does. Is scary
spoiler
people.
Alert, she dies from a heart attack. She was so scared.
Going back to Chungking Express, could this have been a sword?
No, I do think he wanted us to experience a mood here, and I need more than an hour with him.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you could have done this story shorter, but I don't think that they would have landed on the spirit of what it was trying to transmit. So,
Agreed.
do you think that this movie could have been better? I'm a bit torn about this one.
Honestly, because I know where he ends up as a filmmaker, I wouldn't want to change any of his path there. So, okay, let's not look at Wong Kar-Wai's career. Could this film had been better?
Yes.
Yes, I think they could have either combined the 2 stories more or made them more separate, kind of just flushed out. Why are we having 2 disparate stories? Do we want them to connect? Do we not? Let's just understand that.
I agree, and that's only my same kind of concern about like when the shift happens is like I feel confused. And I was wondering, can't you think of any movie that it actually has 2 stories that they are not connected with each other at all, except on the theme? And don't tell me Lost Highway.
where they're not disparate. I mean, my mind is going to Tokyo. Same things, different.
But by the same director.
Same director. Yeah, the only thing I would have gone to is Lost Highway.
Because it has a strong shift, but still they are like connected.
Interesting. No, I couldn't. I almost feel like that's homework we should take on. That's a challenge. Come to the next podcast with 3 other examples.
The other examples, okay. And there has to be something, and probably we even watch it. I think that is like Woody Allen, probably like everything that you wanted to know about sex and you never dare to ask. The Monty Python, you know, like, but they are sketches. I talk about like, hey, only 2 stories that don't have anything to do with each other.
I mean, maybe Enemy. Those stories are separate, but they crash together. But no,
Exactly.
no, there's nothing like this. No.
Yeah, but I mean, one of them is a function of the other. It's similar to Lost Highway too. So,
Yeah, exactly.
and the thing is, like, I being the same director, I think
I
as a
got
worst.
Crash, Oscar winner. None of any of the scenes had anything to do with the rest, right? That's the same thing.
No, they actually merge, unfortunately. You know, unfortunately, they merge. I remember like just watching on the cinema, just like face lap. You know, when actually like the woman, like the black woman on the car, has the accident, and Matt Dillon takes it out of the car, and he's like the racist cop, and I'm like just like face palming, like, oh my god, it's one of these movies. Just, I'm out.
They really did that to Thandie Newton. Well, I mean, she's in an Oscar Best Picture.
Oh god. Yep, like Coda. So should we score Chungking Express?
Yes, this was your pick, so I score first. I've honestly been bouncing all over the place from a 7 to an 8.5, but I think I'm gonna land at 7.75.
Man. Okay, my score is an 8. I was also like debating between the 7.5 and the 8. I really like it. I don't think that it's perfect. I think that is like, you know, a good prototype for In the Mood for Love. And I think that we have seen this movie before, In the Mood for Love, we may have scored it higher.
I agree. And that sucks for us because we've already seen it and we can't. All right, I'm not saying this very well, but what I'm trying to say is, although it's unfortunate, because we have seen In the Mood for Love and saw it recently, it's just impossible, at least for me, to judge this film not taking that into account, which is sad because this is a good movie, but it's not perfect.
I am thinking, now that you mentioned this, and we discussed about this movie not too long ago, do you think there is a similar situation to watching Blow Up after watching La Ventura? For you?
No, because it's not just that Blow Up didn't look as shiny next to a better film. It's that we discovered Blow Up is just not a good film. Well, this one is.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I agree with you. It's hard to actually separate like these two when one of them is such a round movie and the other one is a really good movie, but it's not a round movie and it has like many elements of it. But yeah, we already scored. This was my pick. What is your pick for next week?
So you definitely elevated our recent choices. I want to, keep it right up there with you. Keep expanding our horizons, learning about the world around us and about ourselves. So we are going to watch Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, we are going for those clicks. We're going for those listeners that they just look about a movie and they just find a podcast to listen
And I'm
to.
excited about this. I mean, I love every movie we watch, but I mean, how often do you go see a movie based on a true story called Cocaine Bear?
Directed by Elizabeth Banks.
Yep.
Did I send you the review from? We will talk about this completely next week, but it's like the SF Chronicle review where it says that it's like this was dedicated to the late Ray Liotta, and this was the second worst thing to happen to poor Liotta in the recent past.
is this the review by Mick LaSalle? You didn't send me that part, but you were like, at least this movie isn't like 90 minutes long, but it is an hour long, which is bad.
It's pretty good. So just look for it. I was like just laughing aloud. I sent it to 3 different friends about like, dude, you have to read this. The movie may be terrible, but it's like this pays off. I had the feeling that now I owe to the movie for actually watching it after like just laughing so much about it without watching it.
And it's funny because before we started recording, we both came to this podcast choosing this movie. So while it's technically my pick, it's our pick.
I'm going to say something. I'm going to be like a bit vulnerable. This movie is going to be popping my cherry on the Alamo Draft House in Chicago. I haven't been there yet. This is the first time that I'm going to watch it. So I'm going to be like going there. Yeah. And the funny thing is, it was like sold out for most of the times that they had after 4 p.m. is that they were completely sold out. This was like the only session, the only showing that I found. But I'm going to be like watching with a friend of mine from Chicago. And I debated a lot if watching it or not, because I said like, dude, it's going to be garbage. And I don't want to pay for something that I'm pretty sure that is going to be garbage. And you know what I think about?
What?
Let's be cops.
I got you your goddamn money back, okay?
And you did. But I remember
as we left, I made a line and said, oh, we just got called into work.
No, you're right. You're right. But it's like, I just thought like I had the same kind of reason about like, hey, I don't want to explicitly go to watch something that I know that I'm not going to like. And then I thought that it's for a friend. I have to do this.
All I'm going to say is this could be your new Showgirls. Just keep an open mind. Let's go see Cocaine Bear.
I will keep my fingers crossed. It's like, who knows what happens. Well, and to all of those people listening to us, thank you so much for putting with the amount of randomness that we had today.
And wash your hands unless you're in San Francisco, because we decided it's over, so you don't have to anymore.
No, that's fair. Okay, bye.